Well, looky there. Hey, I'm Ed Parcaut, your host of Real Estate Jerky. I'm here with Bobby Atkins, co-host. How you doing, Bobby?
Doing great. How you doing today, Ed?
I can't complain. Maybe need a little bit more light in here today, but what are you going to do? That's what happens when you wear a black hat and black shirt, being the old Johnny Cash.
So you get all
All
your
right, so
Christmas shopping done or what?
weeks ago.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
smart.
I'm not a last minute kind of guy. I plan and get it done. And that's the same thing that we want our people to do when they're looking to buy a home. Let's plan for the future. And that's kind of why we're
Exactly.
doing today's show. And you're like, hey, let's do a show on 2022 and what you should do with your tax return money, right?
Exactly. There's so many things that people don't think about. Um, uh, 2022 is going to be another strong market. All the indicators are showing that. There have been indications that rates are going to increase, which I'll have you discuss a little bit further. But there's going to be folks that have been waiting for the market to collapse. They're going to see the market next year and say, okay, it looks like this thing isn't falling apart. I think it's time to buy a house.
Right.
And what we run into normally is that people who haven't been planning to save for a house don't have all the money they need, and they have to get gift funds and pull from retirement, things like that. So I wanted to discuss that a little bit with you today.
All right, sounds good. But you're right. I just saw an article from Florida that said you wish you would have bought last year.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's going forward. That's everybody's going to think they wish they would have bought last year. When they buy next year, that the same thing's going to happen end of the year. We did a live 2 weeks ago, and people can find that on our YouTube channel, or just scroll through our Facebook pages and find that live where we talked about that it's going to cost you probably almost $300 more by the end of the year. That same house you could buy today. So you might as well buy it today. And when I mean $300 more, that in a payment, they're saying rates should get to close to 3.75 from where they are right now, which is around 3%. And FHA and VA is lower than that. But you're going to see that tick up in rates because of inflation. The Fed meeting 3 times next year is not really going to affect mortgage rates, because that's a totally different thing that they do. They do the Fed funds rate, which is the overnight rate for banks and other things, credit cards, that kind of stuff. But sometimes the Fed funds rate and the mortgage rate kind of run in the same, in the same fashion, where they're going up or going down at the same time, but they're not tied together. So what's going to
Gotcha.
happen is the
Okay.
mortgage market's going to see that either inflation's going through the roof and they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and that will cause the rates to start going up because people will be taking their money out of the bond market and taking it out of mortgage-backed securities, and you're going to see those go up. Plus, with the Fed not buying as much, you're going to see that happen. It's because the Fed is saying we're buying this many mortgage. Where's my camera at? This many mortgage-backed securities, when actually they're buying way more than that, and they're saying they're cutting back. Well, they're going to cut back to where they should be buying, because they bought more than they told us they were buying,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's keeping the rates down. And they need to keep the rates down because of all the money they spent through the stimulus programs. So
So now, are they projecting it's going to go, all the way up to 4%? You think it's going to through? I know it's hard to say, but
everyone is saying a different thing.
yeah.
Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Mortgage Bankers Association, you name it. Anybody who has a voice out there is saying something totally different. One saying 4%, one saying higher, one saying 3.5. If you average the numbers, you're looking at about 3.75.
Gotcha.
And that could be conventional. That could also be FHA, VA. We don't know yet. That's the one thing we don't know. The only thing we do know right now is that inflation is higher than what they're telling us it is. The numbers just came out, was at 9%. We haven't been at 9% since 1982. So if you want to know how bad this could get, go back in history, look at from when the election of 68, 70, what Carter was saying, how inflation is great and everything's great for you to have this inflation. Same thing the president's saying now, right? The same thing they're saying, which is, if you follow, just go back and see what happened. That's where we're going unless things change.
Well, and during the 80s, what was the interest rate on a mortgage?
The highest it was in 87, got to 87, was like 21%.
Woo. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's
I'm not saying we're going to get there. No
no.
one's saying that. However, it's going to go up much higher than it is today. and you should be trying to get into a house. I know there's competition. There is a new thing which we didn't put on here is new regulations that they're going to put into place for cash buyers. So that 1 in 4 deal that's cash right now, that might drop down to 1 in 10 or 1 in 7. So it'll make it a lot easier for people to purchase because you're not going to compete against that cash buyer as much because there's going to be more scrutinizing. Where did the money come from? Where is it? Is this, so there's going to be more steps. So it doesn't always make a better process to do that.
Gotcha.
But it still might happen. Still people, because they have nothing to hide, but the government's worried that people are buying houses with, drug money, this other money, which it's not happening, but they just want to get involved and make sure they get their fair taxes.
That's the gist of it.
I'm sorry. I'm a little negative on taxes. I think we all pay enough taxes as it is. If you have a surplus in California of taxes from people, we should be giving it back to the people who paid it in. And maybe they could use that for a down payment. Maybe they can use that for closing costs instead of giving it to other people. They should give it back to the people who paid it in so we can use it for ourselves. And I'll get off my little soapbox there, but that's what I feel in California. If there's surpluses, give it back. Don't spend it.
Exactly. Now, in the vein of what we're talking about, as far as like saving money, a lot of times folks get a pretty decent tax return back, and so
refund, you mean refund?
Or tax refund. Yeah. And so saving that is a good way to kind of get yourself started and get the ball rolling with the down payment and closing costs, things like that you're going to need. I often see that it's the difference of about $4,000 to $5,000 that people have to make up when it comes to closing costs. I'm sure you see that even more, obviously being on the lending side, but it's not a ton of money, but it's a lot to ask a family member to gift you.
Correct.
And so if you can save it on your own, it makes the whole process a lot cleaner.
I think so too. So what you should do is look at how much you're going to get back on your refund, put it aside and use that money for your down payment and or closing costs, depending on what type of loan you're getting. It's just a little extra step because I ran into somebody yesterday who was doing a CalHFA with somebody else. And I'm like, the problem with CalHFA is it's usually a first, a second, and a third, and you still have to get the seller to pay 2% towards closing costs. What seller's doing that when they don't have to right now? So isn't it better to have the money for a down payment so you're not asking the seller for anything? And what I tell some people, if you do need money for closing costs, negotiate the price of the house first, then come back and raise it to offset the closing costs you might need, because that way it's additional to what the seller wanted. Instead of offering, hey, I want, this is your asking price, here's 5,000 over and I want 5,000 back. They might say, no, I'm not giving you anything back and I want the 5,000 over. But if you negotiate it first, you can always come back and raise the sales price. They know their net that they're going to receive the seller, so they don't care, right? They're not going to pay more taxes on it. So because it's still the same net to them, but you're not negotiating that ahead of time. You're doing it after the fact where it's only benefiting you and it's no negative benefit to the seller. Are you following me?
Yeah. And, like we were talking about, as far as like asking for a seller credit, that market is come and gone. Right. That ended about 3 years ago. The only thing I've seen where it was a possibility, if somebody listed their house too high and it's been on the market for 45 to 60 days, they might actually entertain that. And for some of my buyers that don't have the cash above and beyond to really compete in today's market, sometimes we start looking at those houses that have been on the market for way too long, and those people are willing to negotiate.
Right. That's right. But that's why I'm saying negotiate the price first, and then do an addendum to raise the sales price to the, for the $5,000 in closing costs. Then if it doesn't come in because of appraisal, the seller's not out any because it's not set on the price that was originally. But for most people, when they do it after the fact, you still have enough room in there to get those included, but you're not negotiating it with the seller up front, because like you just said, if they have 10 offers and you have one person asking for closing costs, that one's gone. They don't even look at that one. So if they have less than that, then that's when you can that's why I'm saying negotiate it first, then come back and raise it. And that we started doing on a few other agents I know, and that's been working. So.
And for anybody who hasn't been in the market lately, if you want to write what's called a clean offer, you don't even ask for the seller to pay for your home warranty. That's something, that I'll say we need to pay for. And depending on, how you're looking on your finances, maybe I'll gift that to you, or, it's just one of those things. If you want to get your offer accepted in this market with multiple offers, pretty much you have to give them exactly what they want and ask for nothing.
Right. And the people who think that they can get a deal in this market, I'm sorry, there are people who come into this market and they want to get a deal on a home and they think they can write it under asking, that kind of stuff. I tell them, listen to your real estate agent, listen to the realtor. They're telling you how it is. That's how you should do it. If you're going to fight them, then get a different agent, because you're not going to get through there. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your time. I'm talking to you, Bobby. It's a waste of the agent's time, because of the fact that people don't understand this market we're in the closest to the left you can get in a seller's market, right? We're so close, less than 8 months. 0.8 of a month of inventory. It's getting worse, not better. Every time that they see inventory numbers, they're not better, they're worse than they were. And it's going to be that way for a while, a lot longer than people think. We're not going to see, we need to build 2 million homes a year for a decade to get caught up. We did almost 900,000 this year. We're going to possibly do 1.1 million next year. So we haven't even got to the 2 million mark yet. And we need to do that for 10 years to get caught up. So do you think this is going away anyway soon? No. We might not see 20% appreciation, might see 10% appreciation, but it's not going to go away. I'm not saying we're not going to see 20%, but it gets to a point where people can't afford a house when it goes up 20% a year. A $500,000 house going up 20% a year is now $600,000. The next year, that's $720,000.
Yeah. Well, a prime example, Turlock is an interesting market in itself, right? But
it's less houses.
I was gonna say last year it was May, and we got into this really nice 3.2 on a good size lot. It was $369, I think we paid. And just a couple months ago, the neighbor across the street bought a very similar house, $420.
Yeah.
We're
up 20%. That's how it is. Yeah. There's nothing you can do about it.
People are going to look back at the end of next year and say, darn it, I should have bought this last year too. So.
And don't get me wrong, I understand it's scary buying your first house and not making a mistake and overpaying because you think you're good. Everybody looks back at 2006, that whole downturn. That was a fluke. You need to get rid of that period of time out of your brain, throw it away, and look back further than that and look at history other than that particular point in time. We've never had a market like that since the Great Depression, right? And that was in the 40s. So that was in the 2006. That's not going to happen again for a very long time, maybe 40 years from now, after we build up all these homes. And then after a couple of years, we might have overbuilt, then we might run into it. But that's going to be 10 plus years from now. So stop thinking that it's going to go away anytime soon. And next year we'll sit here saying, see, we told you so, or you can say you were wrong. But pretty much, I think we're 99.99% sure that it's going to continue to go up. We just don't know at what number that is.
Well, and getting back to the savings, right? So there's a lot of folks that I talk with that they haven't even been working off of a budget. And so number one is make a budget for yourself, right? But then start looking. I know when I went to buy my first house, my wife and I looked at our expenses, and at the time we had no kids. And we realized that in between eating out, drinks at the bar, stuff like that, we were spending over $1,000 a month for two of us. So we cut way back. Somebody, like I see people on the line at Starbucks every day. That's, a minimum of $5 for, unless you're getting like a drip coffee, which is still $3 something, right? But $5, every day, you could save $150 a month just on that.
Get an espresso.
Yeah.
Well, if you're seeing them in Starbucks line, what are you doing there?
I see them driving by. I'm going to the office.
Is that what it is? Yeah. I see how it is.
No, I'm cheap, man. I brew Starbucks at home. Yeah.
I do my own. But yeah, you're right. Saving money everywhere you can. Stop eating out. Stop doing that. I see it with my young kid, Blake, who's here visiting right now because he's in the Army, going to In-N-Out every day. All that kind of, that gets expensive after a while. And you can eat at home for much cheaper and save money there, save money everywhere. So you can build that down payment. I'm still saying that you can ask your family for a gift. Just make sure, a lot of them want, when you get a gift, a lot of times you want to give a gift back to this equal amount or greater. So, and that's okay. Did you get what I said?
Yeah.
I'm just saying you can get I mean, a lot, or you know what? Have your parents going with you on the house. Be a non-occupying co-borrower with you. Let you loan you the money for the down payment, right? But be part of the house. They help you with the down payment. They're on there, and then you plan in 2 years to refinance, cash them out their appreciation of it, and then the house is yours. But now you benefited from that help. Don't try to go it alone, but maybe have them help you do it, and then help you and help them at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I think people will be surprised if they really look at their finances and create a budget. They'll be surprised how much money they're throwing away. Especially like the last couple of years with DoorDash, things like that.
Yeah.
They're charging you a premium to bring you fast food.
Right. I mean, no, I see it with some of my, it's you. I don't do DoorDash. I wouldn't even if I wanted to, because I've seen too many videos. Someone eating French fries. Anyway. Yeah, it's like, no thanks.
Well, yeah.
Buy a Traeger, save money, and, cook at home.
Well, I know people are making New Year's resolutions. That's why I want to talk about this. Obviously start planning now, because, this next year's market is going to be just as strong, and you're going to have the competitive edge. So having as much money and being able to write that offer and not have to worry about funding is going to be great.
Right. And the other thing, work on your FICO score, pay down some, depending on where you're at, you should meet with somebody, some agent and loan officer, so you can go over your numbers so that you know what you need to save, where your plan is, because I do that all the time for people. They come in, we sit down, we plan for the future, or a lot of times people don't think they can buy, and they can actually buy today, and they're shocked what they can and can't do. Yeah. And if you're thinking about, and this is first time home buyers we're talking about, right? And even move up buyers, or even buying that second home for a vacation home, or potentially when you're going to retire, you should do it now, because why do you want to pay 5 years from now the additional value it's going to take? And you might be priced out of the market, where if you buy it today, you won't be. So do it today. That's all I got. We could go on for an hour. It's the same thing. Save money, talk to somebody so you figure out where your FICO score is, how much you need for your down payment. And because you need to also know because you're talking about budgeting, what type of a payment do you want, right? I have people come to me and say, ask them what kind of payment you want. Sometimes it's pretty close to what they can get, and sometimes they don't have a clue. They're looking at a $1,200 a month payment, which you haven't been able to get a $1,200 a month payment in our area for a few years now.
And when people are thinking that they just can't afford, like I recently had a client that was surprised. They never thought they'd be approved for a home loan, right? Mm-hmm. And so that kind of gets the ball rolling, obviously. But just think about how much you're paying in rent every month. So if the average rent is $1,650, then every year you're paying $19,800 in rent. And if a mortgage is only a couple $100 more a month, then that should motivate you right there.
Or even if it's $400 more a month, that's money in your pocket versus paying your landlord's mortgage. Exactly. Even in an apartment complex, you're paying someone's mortgage.
You'll never get that money back. It won't appreciate it all.
No, and you're not building personal wealth.
Yeah.
You're just giving it away for somebody else, and start building your own. And that's where we're today. So let's start planning for the future, for your future. So give us a holler. You can reach me through Instagram, anywhere. I'm Ed Parcaut everywhere. You can, message me through Facebook, or you can call me at 209-404-1915. That was 209-404-1915. I'll get you started through the process. We'll go through it. You can talk to Bobby. Bobby, what's your phone number?
209-550-1087. That's 209-550-1087. And you can find me on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, primarily on Facebook. And then you can also link through my website on ReMax.
All right. Well, you can just go to edparcautforme.com.
Yeah.
Make it easy for everybody. Yeah. No one can ever spell my name. So
yeah.
All right, Bob, thanks for being on here today, and thanks for asking to do this, and I appreciate it. And everybody have a happy holiday. And we might be here Thursday. We might not. We don't know yet.
Play by ear.
Yeah, we'll see what happens if we can come up with a great art. We don't want to just do these to do these. We want to make sure we give out good information. So
exactly.
We'll see what we can find out by then. I pretty much think we'll be here Thursday. But
yeah. Always something to talk about.
Yeah, Bobby, thanks so much for being here. Everybody, thanks for watching. If you like what we're doing, please follow and share.